So it is almost 3 in the morning. It's almost 3 in the morning. I'm kind of bored and I don't want to go to bed yet. So I figured we would do a horror stories animated. I haven't done this in such a long time. I haven't done this type of video in such a long time. So first off, before the video starts, I'm going to give each video a rating on, or 1 out of 10, 1 being terrible to 10 being pretty good. I'm going to be reacting to 4 stories by Llama Arts. So yeah, story number 1. Anthony. Let me turn this up a bit.
When I was 15 years old, my best friend Anthony wanted me to come over for the night since his parents would be gone all weekend. I rode my bike over and put it in his backyard before letting myself in through his back door. We played basically every video game he had, from FIFA all the way to Call of Duty, with
That seems like
popcorn
me.
and other junk food spilled out all over the floor. As the
There's a
night
piece of hair
progressed,
on my camera.
we moved from video games to watching half a movie and getting bored to doing prank calls at close to 10 o'clock.
There we go.
Anthony
I got a
made
pillow.
a few calls to different pizza places. When it was my turn, I just dialed a few random numbers in hopes to get someone at their house. On, say, my 4th attempt, I finally reached somebody. A guy with a deep and rough voice picked up, answering with a yeah instead of a hello.
Okay.
Anthony's laughing in the background made me stumble with my words mid-sentence, ultimately cracking up into laughter. I had never done a prank call, so I sucked at it.
Maybe practice a little more.
Was silent. I regained a straight face and tried to continue with the call. It went something like this. Sir, would it be alright if I borrowed one of the wheels from your car? What's your name, kid? My name is Bob. Really? You sure it's not Anthony? It hit me like a brick. I looked up at Anthony, whose face was noticeably full of fear. I hung up the phone, not wanting to be on the line with whoever that was for another second. Anthony, who the hell was that? I asked him. I don't know, he told me. Does your caller ID info display your name or something? No, it shows my dad's name. We hopped on the computer and did some research, trying to figure out how it was possible to get someone's name through their phone number. It didn't make sense how he could get Anthony's name so quickly. He was way too young at the time to be on any of those personal information sharing websites. We ended up asking a question on Yahoo Answers, since no one had a similar experience.
Why Yahoo Answers?
No answers. I suggested he call his dad, but he said he wasn't supposed to have anybody over for the weekend, so he didn't want to call. We planned on sleeping in the living room, so we just resumed watching the movie that we hadn't finished from earlier. Right after the phone call had left my mind, me and Anthony looked at each other when we heard his front storm door opening, and then the doorknob to the front door began to turn. It only was able to turn about halfway before the lock.
There's something called locks. Oh, never mind. They got a lock on their door.
And I went over to the window to see who it was.
Why would you do that?
There was a tall guy standing outside. He noticed the blinds moving and turned to look at me.
Oh, sick. Hey, what's up, baby?
Back into place. Me and Anthony hid in the kitchen, listening for any more noises. We heard the sound of the gate to the backyard opening. As it
scared the crap out of me, actually.
Window. God damn it, I said. I forgot to shut the back door. Anthony urged me to run and shut it. I made it to the hallway leading to his back door and froze. There was a silhouette standing outside the back door. I don't think he noticed me, but he was surely looking into the house. He opened the door and stepped inside. I tiptoed to the kitchen and motioned for Anthony to follow me upstairs.
How do you forget to shut the back door?
As possible, pulling the door shut to avoid making any noise. We crawled under his bed. He had cloth covering the bottom of his bed, so you couldn't see anything under it unless you actually moved the cloth. The doors downstairs all opened, each one getting closer to the stairs.
Why do you blink when the door's shut, dude? I don't get that.
The door to the room opened. I could hear Anthony's breathing, was too loud. Footsteps moved over to the closet, and then the closet opened. I could hear the coat hangers being slid around as the fabric of the jackets and coats rubbed against each other. Footsteps moved over to the bed and stopped. I felt like my heart was about to explode out of my chest. Anthony's breathing was too loud. I had to cover his mouth with my hand. Nothing but silence in the room now. We laid still for so long, I almost thought he wasn't even in the room anymore. I moved my hand away from Anthony's mouth and whispered in his ear, "You think we can make a run for it?"
No.
He was about to answer when the most disturbing, memory-haunting scream I'd ever heard filled my ears as Anthony was seemingly dragged out from under the bed.
Well,
I crawled
bye.
out and saw him struggling with the man. I desperately looked around for anything to use as a weapon. I settled with the screwdriver sitting on his
It's a
nightstand.
horrible screwdriver,
I
but
hurried
no
over to the man
offense,
and drove the
Long Arts.
screwdriver into his back. He let go of Anthony as he let out a
Whoa.
scream of agony, giving us time to get the hell out of the house. Running onto the road would give away our position too easily. It would take too long to make it to his neighbor's house. We dove for the tree line in the woods and took cover behind a bush, watching the house.
Fortnite.
The back door opened as the man stepped outside, looking around the backyard. He then looked out to the woods. I felt his eyes pass me as he scanned through the tree line. It seemed that it was too dark for him to see us. Then, he turned his head back in our direction. I ducked behind the bush. "Joe, he's coming." "What?" "Dude, get up, we gotta run." He was right. The man was approaching us fast. How could he have seen us? We ran through the woods with the leaves crunching under us, giving away our position. When Anthony tripped over something, I crouched down with him, hoping
That's
we had
every
run far enough.
that's every bad situation
Not
in a
even 20
horror
seconds
movie
later,
ever. Somebody trips over something and they
footsteps
die.
from the direction we were running from came fast. They slowed down only 2 trees away from us as we lay face down in the leaves.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of the living room right now.
Moments later, the footsteps take off in another direction. We waited until we could no longer hear them and took off back in the direction of the house. While running, over the sound of leaves crushing and my heavy breathing, I could swear I heard leaves crushing from behind us. We made it back to his backyard, into his house, and this time remembering to shut the back door. We were
Stupid.
now able to call the police. Anthony stayed on the line with them, while I patrolled the back windows, making sure nobody was out there. It was so dark, though, I couldn't see anything. So I did something that seems stupid today. I turned on his backyard lights, and immediately in the distance, over by the woods, I saw him, standing in front of a big tree. He turned off back into the woods and disappeared.
Haha,
out of
bye
sight.
bye now.
That was the last time me or Anthony ever saw him. I would be lying if I told you we heard the occasional knocks at our windows or something cliche. No, that was it. 5 years have passed and nothing has happened. Do I wonder if it was somehow linked to the prank call? Maybe. Does it make sense? Not really. But yeah, this was the story of how me and
I
my
had the
still
hiccups.
best friend Anthony almost died during a break-in.
Is that it? Alright, that's story number 1. I give that one a solid 6 out of 10. I mean, the reason I give it a 6 out of 10, it seems so bland. It seems like something that would happen in a horror movie, you know? It seems like something that would actually happen. But, like, I think it went too far into detail for that story. Like, what he actually said, it sounded like it was fake. But, let's go to the next one. Trick or Treat Stories Animated. Can you not?
It was Halloween night of 2007, freshman year in high school, and I was with my friends, Ivan, Ryan, and Jesse. We were all dressed as the Super Mario
Luigi!
characters. I was Luigi since I was the second tallest. Ivan was Mario since he's short and buff. Not that Mario is buff. Jesse was Waluigi because he's freakishly tall and skinny. and Ryan was Wario because he's just really fat. So they were the perfect group costumes for us. We live in a very non-congested suburban neighborhood with a decent amount of space in between houses. On Halloween, that's the worst thing ever. Less bang for your buck. We were trick-or-treating for hours, way past dark, and eventually came the time when most trick-or-treaters were heading home. My feet started to hurt, and I had to constantly switch arms for holding the now 10-pound pillow sack of candy.
10
I
pounds?
going until
I
our
can't
bags
even
were
get that
completely
much.
full. A lot of the houses by now weren't answering anymore. It was probably past their cutoff time for giving candy to trick-or-treaters.
That doesn't look like 10 pounds.
Approaching our next house, we saw a purple bucket on the stoop, which was the best feeling ever. I was the one to get close enough to realize it was empty, which was the worst feeling ever. I turned around when I heard a knock at the window of the house. We all looked at the window. Couldn't see anyone.
Was he scratching his
but heard
nose
someone call
or
out,
waving for
"Wait."
somebody to come in? I think he was scratching his nose.
The door opened and an older man, late 40s,
Pedophile.
already balding, stepped outside. He
Pedophile.
told us to come inside so he can get us some more candy.
Pedophile.
I said we could just
Pedophile.
wait out here. He responded saying something along the lines of, "Nonsense, come on in, we'll get you your candy."
Huh?
Ivan stepped in and said, "It's all right. Come on, Dan, let's go." I told the guy to take care and apologized. He just stood there watching as we walked
Who the
off,
heck is that in the
not saying
back?
anything. I felt bad, but at the same time, that guy seemed like a creeper, and I figured I'd just dodge him.
Finally, a horror movie character that knows what they're doing.
If the story ended there, it wouldn't be scary. So of course, it didn't end there. We skipped a few of the guy's neighboring houses just to get further away and continued on with our business. We were walking down close to the nature preserve now, so there weren't many houses around us. At this point, we were now walking back closer to Jesse's house. I noticed Ryan had stopped walking, and I turned around to see what's up. He said he heard someone moving from behind the trees in the preserve. Now this was before everyone's phones had flashlights, so we couldn't just go searching in the woods for someone. Besides, we were just telling Ryan that it must have been a raccoon or something. You may think this is a bit of a cliche, but when things like this happen in real life, you always assume the more logical possibility. It's just natural. Why would we assume we were being followed? I had to put my arm around Ryan's shoulder and nudge him forward. A little ways down the street, me and Ivan picked up on the sound as well. When we all stopped, the sounds of the footsteps from beyond the trees stopped as well. Ivan yelled at the obvious stalker to go away, or we would beat the shit out of them. I knew he was just bluffing, though. I could hear the nervousness in his voice. The snap of a twig from beyond the trees triggered a fight-or-flight response in all of us. Me, Jesse, and Ryan all ran for it. Ivan was at first charging to attack, but he quickly followed after realizing we had all taken off. We ran down the dark street, and we all noticed the sounds of at least 2 or 3 pairs of footsteps crushing the twigs and leaves in the woods. We banked it hard right down Jesse's street when it finally came up, and ran straight for his backyard, entering his house through the back door.
This setup.
The first thing we did was peek out through his living room window. We couldn't see anyone.
I mean,
We all had to gather our thoughts and
I
discuss
respect
what
you
the
for
hell just
thinking
went
outside
down
of the
in his
box,
living room.
but
And all of a sudden, we heard Jesse's backyard gate
what a
slam
weird
shut.
combination of items.
Jesse dove to turn off the
The
lights.
fucking
There was
a bowl and a
blanket
paper
bed
towel
from
roller.
It was more than likely Jesse's back door.
I don't have a tripod
We
yet,
all
okay?
agreed to go down armed with knives
What are you
and
gonna
face
watch
them.
YouTube on your
Jesse
tripod?
turned on
Yes,
his
sir.
back door light,
On
but there
your
was nobody out there.
phone screen?
Yes, sir.
Just then the front door
Why?
opened, and we all screamed like animals. Jesse's mom and sisters came rushing downstairs. They had just gotten home from their friend's little house party.
By the
We all
way,
rested
I'm
assured
recording a
knowing
video
it was just
anyways.
them. Jesse explained what happened, but made it seem a lot less dramatic. Me and Ivan went home after that and called it a night. At 12:30 a.m., I got a disturbing text message. It was from Jesse. It said, "It wasn't my mom." I texted back saying, "What?" He responded back quickly, saying, "It wasn't my mom in the backyard." My fingers slammed the buttons on my phone, responding back, "What do you mean?" There was a long pause before he finally told me that his mom and sisters said they never went in the backyard. I told him to immediately check the backyard from his upper deck. He had already done just that. He also told his mom everything, and she had already called the police. They didn't find anyone back there, but
Is that
Jesse
Rick?
did mention the guy
Rick
who
Grimes?
invited us in while trick-or-treating.
Oh, sick. That's a good Easter egg.
Nothing ever became of that. And nothing ever happened at Jesse's
Ben
house
Drowned,
again after
The
that
Rake,
one Halloween
Slenderman,
night.
and Jeff. What should I rate this one? Let's see here. I'm probably going to give that a 7. That story was something different, and most of these stories that are given to this guy are true. And that does seem like something that happened. Because that is completely believable. That is completely believable. So, alright, I'm gonna do one final one, which is school lockdown.
You see Persephone, and he's like, she's thick.
I hate ads. Evan, I'm recording a video, by the way.
I'm 22 years old, fresh out of college, and I recently got a job at my old high school as a sort of computer intern in the school basement. The basement of the school is very messy and disorganized, but there is a small
My brother's
three-person
weird.
office that's actually very nice down there. It has 3 nice big desks, 2 mini fridges, a flat-screen TV mounted on the wall, and
Anybody
also
wanna
satisfying air conditioning,
flip
a
my
luxury
butt
the
cheek?
students and teachers cannot enjoy in the school.
Flip your butt cheek,
And
okay.
of course, all the school servers and other computery
Evan.
stuff.
Do it one more time.
I got the job because 3 of my old computer teachers flat out adored me. I could actually consider them as real friends, not just teacher figures. So they all helped tremendously in landing me this job. It's been great, until something that happened a few weeks ago. My 2 co-workers that shared the office with me, Dave and Gary, weren't in the office at the time. They were upstairs working on papers or whatever. I was eating my sandwich during my lunch break when I got a phone call from one of the women in the front office telling me the school was on lockdown and that somebody possibly armed had entered the school.
I told you that, actually.
There wasn't much
James
that I
said
could
it.
do other than turn off the lights.
He said, "This
because,
fucker sent me a
surprisingly, as
picture."
nice as this
Like
little office
that's
was,
I
it didn't
remember
have an
doing
actual
that.
door to it. Just
Yeah,
a big
okay, but
opening,
anyway,
and the
I
door
did
to
it
the
to my
whole
first
basement didn't even have a working lock.
For
my own safety,
That's
I
what he
did
said.
turn
He
off
said,
all
okay,
the
but
lights in
anyway,
the
I
office and
I
my
was on a
computer
snap call with
screen.
my friend Jagger earlier,
I kept
right?
my phone on the desk,
And
texting both Gary and
I was
Dave,
telling
but they
him
wouldn't respond.
about it, and
I
then
sat down there
and
in the dark
like,
playing games
yo,
on my
you
phone for
want
like
like a
20
real video?
minutes, waiting for the call from up front to
And
tell
he's
me to
like,
resume working.
He's like, sure.
I had
said
no
to him,
idea
he's
what
like,
was
holy
happening.
shit,
I
you
couldn't
know
hear what
it.
was going
And
on
I'm like,
upstairs
yo,
from down here.
I'm so
But I was
scared.
not allowed to make any
Scredited.
calls until I was informed that the lockdown was over.
I'm so
The
scredited.
basement door opened
Stay there, I gotta go.
as the creaking echoed across the basement and into my office. I sat up from my seat, wondering if I should call out Gary or Dave.
One and only.
I was eager to get some info from them.
Alright.
Someone then came
Are you
running
ready?
down the stairs, and their footsteps
Sometimes
were
I
approaching
think to
my
myself,
office.
God, what I wouldn't do to be
I
with
pushed
you
away
for the
my
rest of
chair
my
and
life.
crawled under my
So instead of
desk.
chasing my dreams, I fantasize it.
Somebody entered the office but did not turn on the lights.
I think.
He's doing a thing.
Oh, okay.
There was just silence. I can't even describe the fear I was experiencing. I felt like if I made one sudden noise, I'd be a dead man.
Maybe don't make any noises.
Suddenly, my phone dinged as I got a text message. I felt my entire world shrivel up and die.
That looks like the face of a constipated man.
Footsteps suddenly moved closer to me until I finally dove
It looks
out
like
from
the
under
face of
desk
somebody
in
that's
capitulation,
constipated.
begging whoever it was not to kill me. And just then, someone grabbed my arm and pulled me up. It was some guy in a red plaid button-up, jeans, and a reddish-black cap. He told me,
That guy's a
"It's okay,
hitchhiker.
I'm just down here hiding with you." "What's going on up there?" I whispered to him. He kind of ignored my question and asked me if there's an exit down here. I told him, Yeah, around that way. Before he could do anything else, I asked him, "Who are you?" There was a brief moment of silence before he started explaining he was coming in to pick up his son when a teacher told him to hide. After his explanation, I checked my phone and saw the text I received was from Dave. It said, "Dude, this is fucking crazy. Some guy with a gun shot Mr. Buckley. He's wearing a red shirt and hat. Whatever you do, don't come upstairs." I was about to reread that text out loud to the man until I realized. I looked up and felt my stomach sink. The man seemed to catch on to my suspicious stare. Panicking, all I could think to do was to run for the upstairs. A gunshot echoed through the basement and I could hear the bullet ricochet off something metal in the darkness. But thank God the bullet missed me and I made it upstairs. Fortunately, police were waiting at all exits, including the basement exit, and caught the man the second he opened the door. More good news. Our teacher, Mr. Buckley, survived the gunshot. It was later
That's good
determined
news.
that the man and Mr. Buckley had some beef for whatever reason, but that was never revealed. All we know is that Mr. Buckley couldn't have done anything that would have warranted this kind of reaction. And I know that the sound of that gunshot will forever echo in my mind.
Alright, that was the final video. Let's see, I'm gonna be honest, that one deserves a 9 out of 10. That seems like something that would actually happen. People have lockdowns because of stuff like this. That one actually seems super real, but there were a lot of good moments in that one. So, thank you guys for being here. Remember, stay tuned for the unboxing video next week. Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out, guys.